Thank you for having me. My name is Olivia Jack, and I will be talking today about a project called Wobble Web. I am talking to you today from within Wobble Web, which is a browser-based visual and code editor for making and sharing small websites. By visual editor, I mean that you can drag things around the screen and use different UI tools to update various parameters of them. There's also a set of sliders, and there you can update different additional CSS properties. Everything that's editable with the visual tools is also editable directly in the code, and so you can see as I drag this around, for example, the CSS properties are directly changing. And basically everything in Wobble Web directly mutates the HTML and also uses observables to observe the HTML and update itself accordingly. And so none of the tools like the code editor or the visual editors are really intertwined. The only shared state is the HTML document itself. I'll make this a bit smaller. Maybe I'll change the color of my camera. And I will continue on. Wobble Web is online at wobble with 3ws.org. It's very much experimental and in progress, so it's likely to change at any time, which makes it more fun. Some more details, it's just HTML. All the state is contained in HTML. Some HTML elements can modify other elements. This makes it compatible with anything that can view HTML or that works with HTML as well. It also means that you could directly edit things using the browser developer tools and that the changes persist within the document. And so when you go up here to save, you can just download your little website as a single HTML file, or you can publish directly to static site hosting, and even generate an RSS feed for all your little wobbles that you've created. More details, the text editor morphs the DOM tree rather than replacing it to preserve complex state. And so, yeah, this means if I have some complicated animation, the text editor attempts to only update the attributes as necessary. And the idea is to create an environment that is friendly and welcoming to extensions to that environment. And we're still working on this, but there's a menu for adding things, and the idea is that you can add the entire kitchen sink here, and so and I hope as well that there could also be different types of tools that you could add, and I will explain more on that later. Everything is exported to a single HTML file for the time being, including if you add an image, it exports an HTML file. It's experimental and in progress. Additionally, I mentioned it's compatible with other libraries. For example, this is Alpine.js, which is a library for adding interactivity just via HTML. And so because that library uses this paradigm of state contained in HTML, it works well. And so we're able to have this interactive slider just by here we download Alpine, and here we do this. So we spent the last months mostly creating this initial container and working on the export, and especially We've been working a lot on mobile interactions, and so that you can pinch and zoom and just kind of move things around like a collage. But something I've been personally working on for the last week and a half or so is extending the idea of custom elements. And so an example is that we've created a custom element for the text editor itself. And so this means, I could this is just an HTML element, and I can edit it here, and just as also when I edit here, it live updates, or I could like change the color. And the way that this element accesses another element is via a CSS selector. And so you could put any CSS selector and then edit any element, or have multiple little snippet editors across the page. However, I think it's kind of tedious to have to like type in the CSS selector. And so I've been experimenting with something that is tentatively called magnetic patching. So this just means when I drag whatever element I drag this to, it becomes able to edit that element. Oops, the scrolling is not helpful. Okay, well, let's go down here. So whatever element I drag it to, I can edit that element. So this is another fun element that I will explain in a second, but for now I'm editing this code, and it's I'm able to edit this element that's over here. And you can see this little region corresponds to the region where I'm looking for an element to input to this element. And so now I'll talk about this element over here. This is Hydra Synth, and it's a custom element with Hydra Synth, which is a library I first made about 7 years ago. That's a video synthesizer, a JavaScript live codable video synthesizer. And so this is Hydra encapsulated in a web component. And this is right in here, this is JavaScript code that you can edit, and it live updates what's running there. But also these Hydra elements have attributes, and just like the HTML editors, you can also connect other elements to these just by dragging them close. So I don't have so much time, but I will show an example. So one of the types of attributes that Hydra element can have is a numerical input, and so as I drag this, you can see it's changing this attribute, and then I can use that within the code. So now you can see this is changing the color. I could add a second one. And so what this magnetic patching is doing is it's just based on the types as defined by a given element. So each HTML element has certain attributes. Those attributes have internally documented or externally documented types. Based on those types, it looks nearby and finds elements that can output those types in some way. So now we have a second slider as well, so we can keep changing different parameters. Hydra also has types that are textures. So here, this element is taking the textures to its left as a type. And so as what I find exciting about this is that I can kind of define bits of logic in the code and then drag these pieces around and have kind of unexpected things happen just because of what I'm like, how I ended up layering the elements. And this even, let's see, I think maybe it will add my face could become the input. Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is. That scroll is annoying. So I'm about out of time. I want to special thanks to collaborators, Jack listed here. And also I wanted to shout out Chris Shank from Folk.js. I learned about this project a few weeks ago, and so we've discovered we have a lot of similar ideas around custom elements, and so we've been kind of discussing what can happen with those. So thank you so much for listening, and also thank you for NLNet for generously supporting this project.